Hello there, welcome to Bryan Lomax Movie Talk. Got a Patreon requested review today. It's Black Christmas, a film from 1974, slasher film. One that has kind of been on my radar for some time because I've heard a lot of talk about it in the Killer Flicks community. My good friend Lee, I think he's reviewed it before. I remember hearing him talk about it. And I was aware of a remake of the film, which at the time when it came out didn't really interest me, so I stayed away. But yeah, the patron who has requested this review is Daniel Pedersen, or Pedersen. I'm not quite sure which pronunciation is the correct one there, mate. Sorry if I've got it wrong. But yeah, Daniel Pedersen requested this review. So thank you, Daniel. I say thank you because I watched it and I really liked it. I didn't think I was going to be honest. I'll be right up front. When he requested this one, a little bit of my heart sank because I was expecting really schlocky, bad acting, bad direction, really dark, grim camera work by people who maybe didn't quite know what they were doing. Something along the lines of, here's where I lose most of my viewers, the first Friday the 13th film. I'm sorry, I still believe, but that film is not great. So yeah, I was expecting something along those lines, and that's not what we get at all. There's much more to this film, I think, as far as scares go, and the fact that this came in 1974 as well, it predates Halloween. A lot of people hold Halloween up in very high regard as the film that started the slasher craze in the 80s, and I don't dispute that, but I think it was helped along the way by quite a few films actually. Psycho, this, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, all of those films in some way culminated to making Halloween. But we're not here to talk about Halloween, we're here to talk about Black Christmas. So the film is written by Roy Moore and directed by Bob Clark. Stars Margot Kidder in a role that I didn't think I would see her in, quite frankly. It was a bit of a shock when she appeared on screen. And Olivia Hussey, speaking of Psycho, she's in Psycho 4, a film I will be reviewing in the not too distant future. It caught me off guard, I'll say that much. Most notably, the opening shot. I think it's the opening shot, particularly the opening sequence. We see it from the killer's point of view, which I can't quite seem to recall what other film starts from the killer's point of view. But we go into this house and we see basically a sorority house, all these young nubile women who, a bit of a mixed bag of characters. The one that kind of stands out for me from the pack is this character played by Margot Kidder. She's very feisty. She doesn't take any prisoners. She's a little bit of a drunk on the quiet, let's face it. But yeah, they all get these phone calls. So this guy, who is referred to in the film as Billy, he keeps phoning them up. He keeps phoning them up, and they think it's like dirty phone calls at first, but then he starts getting a little bit more weird, a little bit more scary, and I gotta say, it does raise the hairs on the back of my neck. These phone calls, they're very well done. This is the thing, they never give you an abundance of information about this guy. Everything we know about him is just from these phone calls. So you have to make all the assumptions yourself, and I feel like this is a very Norman Bates kind of character, someone maybe with a split personality. He's got a lot rattling around up in his head, but when you hear these phone calls, they sound like multiple people, and they're not. It's just him, and all these different voices are coming out of him, and along with that, this sense of pain, this sense of torture that is within his soul, I guess. It all comes through in these phone calls, and really brilliantly done. For that alone, it's worth watching, just to see what you can do with sound design and with creative use of sound. Olivia Hussey kind of takes the lead eventually in this. It's at first it starts to look like it's Margot Kidder's film, but it's not, as Olivia Hussey's character starts to come to the fore. She kind of takes the lead, and she's in many ways not a likeable character, because there's this whole subplot with her in which she learns she's pregnant and she wants an abortion. She doesn't want to keep it, and instantly, I mean, it all depends on your political beliefs, I guess, but I am pro-life, and so it doesn't make me warm to this character, especially seeing as the guy who is the father of this child wants to keep it. He doesn't want to get rid. So yeah, the fact that she still wants to take that decision into her own hands, it's quite a hot topic, I guess, and it does raise my blood temperature as I'm watching it. But you still feel sorry for her. I don't want her to die. So I guess that they're doing something right in that regard. Someone that I do want to die, however, is this character of Mrs. Mack. You always get them, don't you? In a slasher film, there's always that one character that you want to see die. This is the one. She's basically, I don't want to say landlord, but something to that effect. She's the one who looks after the house and makes sure that the girls are looking after it. And she's all kind of nice and polite and very nice old lady-like around them and to their faces. And then behind the back, she's very backbiting, very just annoying, really. And she's got a bottle of alcohol stashed in every crevice of the house. She's an alcoholic on the quiet, although I'm not sure she's that quiet about it. But every time she goes into a room, she finds a bottle of alcohol, and it's just something about her that's really annoying, really grotesque in many ways, kind of the ugly side of humanity. Again, not that I would want someone like this to be killed in real life, but for the sake of a slasher film, she is that character, and quite frankly, I'm pretty happy when the deed is done. We get John Saxon here playing a sheriff, basically. Again, don't know where we've seen that before. John Saxon from Nightmare on Elm Street here, essentially playing, not the same role. It's a very different character. It's the same position, obviously, a sheriff, but he's a lot warmer here than he is in Nightmare on Elm Street. He's got quite a bit of humour to him as well. In fact, there's the whole team of characters at the police station, and there's this one scene in particular when this guy, this kind of desk sergeant, he gets told this thing by Margot Kidder's character, and he doesn't realise it's a sexual thing, and yeah, he does a bit of a faux pas, and then John Saxon's character and his friend basically start taking the mick out of him, and it's a really funny sequence. The chemistry between these guys feels very real. It feels like these are a bunch of guys who've worked with each other for a very long time, and they're having a bit of a laugh, and it's one of those scenes that's quite perfunctory. It doesn't need to be there. It doesn't advance story forward or particularly develop character in any way that we need, but it is a nice scene. It's amusing, and it does make you warm to these guys, particularly this character played by John Saxon. He's a guy you want to have in charge. It's just a shame that some of the men who work under him are absolute imbeciles. We get Keir Dullea here as well. Again, I'm never sure if I'm pronouncing his name right either, but I know him from 2001: A Space Odyssey, a film I reviewed fairly recently. Very cerebral sci-fi kind of stuff. Different film for him. To see him here, I wasn't expecting it. Like I said, I went into this film really not knowing a right lot, other than the fact that it's a slasher that takes place at Christmas. I had quite a few preconceptions, I think, going in that totally weren't correct at all. There's no sex in this, which is a surprise, again, that's another thing I was expecting. Friday the 13th style nudity every chance they get, a few sex scenes, but we don't get that. The film isn't concerned with that. The film is genuinely concerned with building a sense of atmosphere, a sense of tension, and a sense of dread built around this central character of Billy, who could be anyone and could be anywhere at any time. The fact that we still don't know who this guy is by the time we get to the end of the film is actually quite chilling. We have this shot at the end where we pan out, we kind of pull out from the attic where he's been hiding this whole time, knowing that he's still there, and it's creepy. It just sends sends shivers down your spine. However, that does highlight the main criticisms I have with the film. Although that ending, that pullout, is quite atmospheric, it kind of, as I say, gives you the shivers, it's also very unbelievable. It's not very logical. You know, you've got this house in which bodies have been found. They know murders have taken place there. They know that the phone calls came from within the house. The fact that the police don't go up to the attic and check. You know, there's still a body up there. They've not been up there to check. That rings alarm bells, quite frankly. On top of that, they leave a victim, someone who's just been, you know, involved in this whole thing, sleeping on her own in the house. You know, they took her up in bed, off they trot back to the station. Don't even leave a man there for when she wakes up. And then, yeah, this final moment between Dullea's character and Hussey's character, you kind of have to ask, why did he break in? You know, if he's not the killer, there is no reason that he would break in and then start calling out for her name. You know, where are you? Like, there's only one reason he would do that, which is if he was following her and it doesn't make sense. It's like it's this kind of red herring twist kind of thing that doesn't really work when you start to think about it. But other than that, the rest of the film is, as I say, pretty good. That one annoying character aside, I was very surprised by this. And like, again, you've got to put yourself in the mindset of the time this was made. And when you do that, this film becomes even more special, I think. You know, to think that this predates considerably, you know, a good few years, most of those films that kind of, you know, kick-started the whole slasher craze in the 80s, then yeah, I think this film deserves to be mentioned more when people are talking about you know, inspirational movies, films that kicked off a particular type of filmmaking, should we say. So yeah, a very good film, I think, of its time and of its genre, and I will give it a 4 out of 5. Thank you once again to Daniel for recommending this film. Glad that you did, because I probably wouldn't have checked this out otherwise, if I'm being perfectly honest. So the fact that you forced my hand, yeah, I'm glad you did. So what about you? You know, have you seen Black Christmas, and have you seen the remake? I've not seen the remake, obviously I've already said that. Do you think it's worth checking out? If I liked this one the way that I did, do you think it's worth me checking out the remake? Comment below, let me know, and until next time, crack it.